That's one of the unfortunate parts of this COVID thing for kids. They'll never get another snow day.
Right.
Like, flip up your computer, pal.
Yeah.
Sharpen your pencil.
And I'm just not
Okay.
that type of learner. You know,
It must be horrible. I talked to some kids, nieces and nephews, and they didn't like it.
All right, we are live here. We were at Shenanigans tonight. We were at the Gateway last week. Shout out to the Gateway for having us last week and Shenanigans for having us today on another Monday with Mick. Time out with Higher Power Sports. So appreciate Mick, you being here. You know, you were working on talking to people about all the turf going in over at the Sanford complex. You know, what's kind of been your role this week?
That will continue to be a project for a while here, Tim. I don't know if you're going to add it. You're giving me a deadline on that. If you are, I probably need one.
I mean, you know, my deadlines when I write. You know, it's that there's never a deadline because I never finish anything I write. Someday I will. Someday I will.
The other thing that I was this weekend, I went to the Upper Midwest Emmy Award presentation, whatever they would call it, the ceremony. We had a gentleman, Matt Holson, who I work with. It was his work with Lonnie Nichols, his camera person, were nominated for 2 different awards for these Upper Midwest Emmys. And given the competition, I mean, the Twin Cities TV stations and the PBS and a couple other places, it was really, you know, I didn't know anything about it. Some of these TV people have been there before, but my goodness, we're right now a small shop running out of Stanford Health News, and it was amazing that their stuff, 2 stories that involved veterans, were able to reach that level of company. I mean, they didn't win, but it really made me feel good about what we do out there, and the fact that it is being recognized and it is high quality stuff. And it was a cool part of it. I had to go buy a new suit, which was, I don't know if that was financially rewarding, but it was right here. It helped me to get some new clothes.
Well, it's always fun to go to those type of things. To see all the people that you are in the same line of work with, see how great of things they're doing. But like you said, you know, you're competing really, you know, against some of the big boys in the area. So that had to be pretty cool, you know, to be with those people in the media that you know some of those guys.
Yeah, there were some people who won awards from locally. In fact, even Matt Olson was on a morning show at Kello before and his show, with him being a part of it, was one of the award winners, which is kind of cool. And Dave Hauk, who's cameraman, longtime cameraman in town, he won a deal. And Josh Muntz works for Midco. He was in on a deal, and it was really cool to see some local people be honored like they were for really, really good stuff that they've done.
Awesome. Well, let's jump into our guest now that we've talked about writing and deadlines, being on TV. You know, Jake Kneeland joins us. And you got all those things. You know, you've got a book out. I've seen you on TV now. You know, so let's take a step back and, you know, Jake Kneeland. Who's Jake Kneeland?
Yeah, not quite to
That's
the level.
what I was asking.
Not quite to the level that you guys are on TV and everything that you guys are doing, but no, appreciate you having me on. It's very exciting. Yeah, I'm a small town kid. Actually, we were just talking about that. I grew up in Summit, South Dakota. So as many of your viewers maybe know, that's called the Bermuda Triangle, the Northeast Summit there, small farming community. And grew up there, graduated from Summit in 2008, and grew up an avid sports fan. That was my background. It was basketball, football, baseball.
Vikings,
of course. Of course. Randy Moss.
So you probably had a heart attack last week or yesterday with the Vikings game on and off too.
Yep. Which they always seem to do to us. I mean, they can never just win a game outright or keep us fans not involved, but that's fun too. But yeah, longtime Vikings fan. Yeah, I just grew up very, very sports oriented. I got 2 younger sisters. we grew up in a competitive family, to say the least. So a lot of that tied and transitioned into when I went to college. I went to Dakota Wesleyan University and ended up playing basketball there. So just a small town kid, and just excited to be here, man.
Awesome. And, you mentioned Summit, that small town feel, we talk about this a lot, Nick and I, back in the day, we played all kinds of sports, in Summit, being a small town, were you able to play multiple sports?
Yeah, whatever season it was is what we played, basically. So basketball seemed to be year round. My dad, what he did is actually when the winter months came, he bolted a wooden backboard up on one of the hallways, one of the ledges, and put a rim down there so we could play year round. I don't know if my mom enjoyed that as much because it seemed like there's games going until 10, 11 o'clock at night. But we co-opted in football, so we played 9AA football with Wabash Summit. So we bussed over there every single day to practice football. And then baseball, we actually had to go down to Wilmot, and we played teener baseball down there.
Good.
So a lot of traveling involved, but it's fun too. I tell everyone we played Main Street football in Summit. Everyone asks, what do you mean Main Street football? Well, there's one paved road in Summit, it's Main Street. And after volleyball games, there's no traffic there. So me and my friends, we play two-hand touch football on Main Street now. And everyone gets a kick out of that because, you tell that in bigger cities or to someone in Sioux Falls, and it's just like, what are you talking about? So yeah, always enjoyed that. And just growing up in a small town community, there's that sense of community and of family and stuff. And I've always really enjoyed that. So.
And then you mentioned you went on to Dakota Wesleyan and played basketball there. Maybe talk about Dakota Wesleyan a little bit, what you got your degree in.
Yeah, for me, it was an easy transition. Dakota Wesleyan, it is growing. It's becoming quite the school, but it was an easy transition coming from a small school. I graduated with 12 kids in my senior graduating class. And then to have the small classes and the faculty and stuff and get that focused attention that you do at a small school as well too, like Dakota Wesleyan. Really, really enjoyed my time there. Teammates, as again, many of your followers know, still lifelong friends, and they always will be. And really enjoyed my experience at Dakota Wesleyan, the staff, the faculty, all the coaches and everything too. Just they welcome everyone with open arms, and they really push that sense of community and teamwork and everything. And that's provided some values that have stuck with me for a long time.
So you go to school, you play some basketball, you get out in the real world, and that's kind of where your story doesn't start, but it kind of blossoms, but not right away, right?
Right. What a wild journey. So when I got out of school, I got into recruiting and headhunting for a company. Really, really enjoyed that, and got into, I don't know if it's corporate America per se, but it was an adjustment. I grew up in a small town farming community, like I said, and then to have the sales background and numbers and everything was just a little bit different. But did enjoy that. I spent 4 years doing that, and actually got promoted and moved up to Fargo, North Dakota, after living in Sioux Falls for a while. And after I spent some time up in Fargo, I'm trying to figure out like what's next. Where do I want to go? What's the route I want to take? What kind of life do I want to live? And I felt like I wanted to just get out and experience life in just in a different perspective, in a different view. So after a while in Fargo, I actually basically dropped everything and moved out to Denver, Colorado, kind of on a whim. I did have a couple cousins that live out in Denver, which helped a lot, but basically dropped everything that I knew and was comfortable with, and just decided to, hey, let's take a big leap and move out to Denver. And I went on an adventure. I really, really did. It was just not the adventure that I thought it was going to be. A lot of ups and downs out there. Learned a lot of things, but a lot of those things that I learned have obviously transitioned to me in this new career path and whatnot. It just took a big leap, and a lot of mistakes and decisions along the way has really kind of provided that path out in Colorado.
So you decide, okay, I'm just gonna do this. Was this a week? Was it a month? Did you been thinking about it for a while? And then what did your family say? Because obviously I'm sure you were pretty close with your family, and you know, you mentioned, you know, your dad having a basketball hoop right there.
Yeah.
So, you know, what did they think?
It was interesting talking to them. So I'm not a parent myself, but parents, they always want the best for their kids. And my parents were no different than that. And they could tell I was a little unsettled or uneasy with the job and where my career was at. I was doing well. I had good people around me in Fargo. I simply wanted to experience something different. And they supported it. They didn't necessarily question it. I had cousins out there, so they knew there was going to be some support out there, but it was more of a sense of like, yeah, why not? I wasn't tied down by anything. Other than leaving the Midwest, I didn't really have anything to hang on to here. So I said, why not? I'm young, I'm in my mid 20s. Let's head out and do something different. And they fully supported it and still do. It was a wild ride. I don't think any of us really knew what was going to happen, but the way that it kind of intertwined and worked out, it was very beneficial. It was just a very interesting time, but they were very supportive, to say the least.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you get out there and you talk about this wild ride, ups and downs. And,
Yeah.
Maybe go into that and let us know, what it was like and what you kind of went through during that move and during that time.
Yeah, it was a transition, to say the least. So when I moved to Fargo, the running joke is you can see your dog run away for 3 straight days because it's so flat, right? It's so flat. And it is a small community too. I mean, obviously there's a big college and everything up there, but it is a small type of community, similar to Sioux Falls, really. I enjoyed that, but moving out to Denver was pretty eye-opening, to say the least. I always tell people, so I lived 19 miles from where I worked, and it took me an hour and 10 minutes one way to get to work. So even just the traffic adjustment alone, and the amount of people too. One thing I always circle back to is what I kind of struggled with a little bit was growing up in that small community and having close relationships and people to talk to and everything, having those connections. What I struggled with is, I guess, adapting to kind of the big city life, if you will. I worked at a tech company, kind of an up and coming tech company right in downtown Denver. There's a business district there. 3 floors, there's like 1,500 employees or something in that building. And it was just kind of adjustment because you're trying to get to know people, but you're trying to, get work done and get acquainted at the same time. And that never quite meshed. And then the ability to, grab a beer after work or something didn't necessarily happen either because I had an hour and 10-minute drive home.